All right, boys, we're back again with the iconic Ben 10 tier lists. This time we're doing the side characters. I'm your gracious host once again. Unfortunately, Battledome Darren got drafted into the YouTube wars. So we only have my single homunculus today. We got Battledome Mike.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, like I said, we're just gonna... Last time we did villains, the first tier list we did was the Omnitrix aliens, and now we're doing the goobers, the side characters that barely have any feats.
This is going to be interesting. Some of these characters are pretty one-off.
Even then, I'm sure we'll get comments on like, hey, why didn't you use Cumulus Rex, that one iconic character from the original series?
Cumulus Rex is kind of a hard name, not going to lie. It's like the Cloud King or something.
Yeah, I was definitely meaning Cumulonimbus, not cum. But yeah, not the cum gambit.
The cum
character.
gambit. He plays chess like Despero.
So, like last time, D is going to be like our street tier, basically our shit tier kind of characters. Not like, they don't necessarily have to be like terrible in the context of the episode they appeared in, but just based on feats, they would just be kind of street tier. And then C tier is kind of just like mid, like they're definitely, that's where our tier list starts getting like superhuman, but they're not too impressive. And then B tier, that's like the really like kind of mid tier, but still like, I wouldn't say mid tier, it's more like high tier, just because like the power creep once we get to the higher tiers is so insane. And then A tier, that's like kind of like the high tier before you really get to like the peak of the verse. And then S tier is that's like the cosmic level characters.
I would probably even say higher than like Cosmic for some of these guys. Some of these characters are going to be pretty ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I mean, A honestly might have some cosmic, yeah. So A is like pretty cosmic as well, and then S is basically like the peak of the whole verse. Like I think last time we had like the Dagon in S.
Yeah,
characters like that.
People above Humungosaur but below Alien X go in S.
Yeah, that's basically that big wide margin right there.
Yeah, it's not. I feel like people like feedback at like the top of A, bottom of S.
So I'm gonna start us with a little bit of a doozy. Do you think that Grandpa Max goes in D tier?
I feel like he's either at the top of D or at the bottom of C. I feel like
like if I remember correctly, the D tier had like our wild mutts and stuff like that. I feel like Grandpa Max, if he had like his full gear, could probably take out wild mutt. Yeah,
definitely. I feel like a serious Grandpa Max, like knowing what he's getting into, definitely beasts on wild mutt.
Like the he probably scales above all of like the 6'6", like 7'7", because if I remember correctly, it was 7'7" that he beat in Ultimate Alien Force. Like he just straight up beat him in close quarters combat, and then just made his jetpack malfunction.
Yeah, Grandpa Max is
his
sick.
Battlefield removed.
Also, he has the ID mask to turn himself invisible, and he had that gun that he... I mean, this is kind of like a no-limits statement, but he shot Vilgax with it, and presumably believed he could defeat Vilgax with that weapon, so I can only imagine what that would do to somebody like 6'6".
Well, I mean, that was the weapon that like targeted people directly by their genetic material, I think. Or some stupid shit like that.
Yeah, maybe. I'm thinking of when Vilgax issued the Conqueror's Challenge. And Ben wasn't there yet, so I think that was a different gun.
Yeah, so it really depends on what gear we want to allow him to have. Like, if he has the RV here, like if he has the Rust Bucket, then like he might honestly be pretty high. The Rust Bucket's got some pretty OP tech.
Yeah, I think based on skill and tech, he has an argument to be higher up, but he is still just an old man in a suit of armor, and not even particularly good armor. So I still feel like if somebody like Festina punched him in the chest, he'd still go down.
Yeah, and he's one of the people that get like the most that benefit the most from the power creep of the series, because I remember in the original series it was like a block of cement in the first season hitting him in the head hospitalized him. But then like even later in that season itself, he was like tanking being thrown by telekinesis by Hex, and like getting hit by that one Kraken that can literally just like shred steel.
Yeah, it's all about that Dragon Ball Z explanation of when Goku is napping even while as a Super Saiyan, just getting hit in the head with a pebble can like bruise him and make him scream in pain. This guy gets shot by planet-destroying attacks, but since he wasn't prepared for it, that little rock almost sent him. So I guess that's how Max
Yeah,
is.
Grandpa Max and Goku are pretty comparable, I feel like, yeah.
The G in Grandpa stands for Goku.
So, I guess if we really just give him the benefit of the doubt with how much tech he'll have, I feel like he might make it to C tier.
Yeah, I can see that. I think as the tier list evolves, maybe he'll get bumped back down to T, or just be at the sort of the bottom of C. But I guess he's the first character, so C is fine.
And he does have like some interactions with some of Ben's aliens. Like I remember, I think it was Albedo, when he was turned into Spider Monkey, he tried to sneak up on Max in the RV. Max just like hit him in the face with a hot frying pan, and like blocked his webbing and everything. So even despite him being like portrayed as kind of an old man in early original series, I feel like he's still got that weird like Tennyson superhuman stats.
He's very spry. Supersonic Grandpa Max for blocking Spider Monkey webs.
Dude, the scaling does go pretty dummy. Let's not even mention the time that he had a sword fight with that hybrid when he was wielding that giant sword, like Elden Ring style.
God, don't even get me started on Dark Souls tiering.
How far does Grandpa Max get into Dark Souls 2?
With Dark Souls 2? God, I barely made it past the first area of Dark Souls 2. That game is very frustrating.
Alright, so since we got the GOAT Grandpa Max in C tier, I'm not even sure who we would put in D tier, but I guess we can just start with Festina.
Oh, what are some of her better feats? I know she's like one of those idiot henchmen that just appears in multiple episodes, but I can't even remember which aliens she like really fights, because I mostly just wrote her off while I was watching.
Yeah, we could have included her in the villains list, but I guess I probably just forgot her because she's so forgettable.
Yeah.
But
What is it? Does she have a crush on Rook?
yes, yeah, she had a crush on Rook. So she definitely has good taste.
Yeah, I remember before I watched Omniverse. For those viewers who don't know, I've been a Ben 10 fan my whole life, except when Omniverse first aired, I didn't watch it because the art style turned me off. I was like, I'm just going to write that one off. It's not part of Ben 10. I'm done. And then, I don't know, somebody else, I think it might have been you, Sammy. You just said, hey man, it's pretty good. You should give it a try. And I actually fell in love with it. And even though I thought I was going to hate Rook, Rook is great.
Yeah, Rook is awesome. He's like he grew to be like one of my favorite characters in the whole franchise. Even though I thought he was going to be like my immediate thought was like, oh, okay, they replaced Kevin and Gwen with this goober
Exactly.
over here, but
He
ended up being a pretty lovable
Gwen and
character.
Kevin are so peak that I was like, man, how could they possibly replace them? But he doesn't even really feel like he tries to replace them. He's just a different character. Not to jerk Rook off too much.
But anyway, back to Festina. I don't really remember her having that many feats itself. Like, I feel like mostly she fights fodder. I know that her suit is made from Tekadon products. So, and I know we've talked about Tekadon scaling for the past 2 videos. Like, they're able to fight on par with Wrath, even though Wrath does eventually rip them apart. So I would definitely say Festina is probably no joke in terms of feats. But I also feel like I remember Rook taking her out at some point.
Did we put the Tekadon battle mech on the last list, or did we forget them?
I think we determined that they were, because they do vary kind of. And I think we were sticking more to like autonomous villains rather than just like fodder. Like we didn't put the DN aliens on there, for example.
But yeah, definitely above Grandpa Max for Festina. Just to get that one out of the way. But do you think she breaks into B tier?
Yeah, so Rook has been able to restrain her with the Proto Tool, and he was able to at least affect her with his strikes. So even despite having the rough Tekadon scaling, even though we don't know like what Tekadon model she has, I feel like she might stay in C tier, but still above Grandpa Max.
Yeah, I feel like above Max in C tier is totally fine.
That might change, mostly because like she's kind of like Liam, where it's like, okay, she could be a little bit higher than where we put Liam in the last one, and she could even be B tier potentially, but I just can't think of any actual feats that would put her there. Like for example, we put Kundo at the top of C tier, and I feel like Kundo probably takes out Fistina pretty easily.
Also, we can't forget the old IQ diff. Fistina seems pretty stupid and is definitely going to get outwitted in a fight by a lot of characters.
So next is Julie and Ship, and I feel like that's going to be our first B tier.
I definitely agree. I think Julie and Ship, like her little ship battle mech, she's actually fairly impressive. She shows up in a couple of episodes. I'm pretty sure she fodderizes. I mean, I guess they are fodder, but like whole swaths of those D and Alien guys. In the like big Alien Force finale.
And she was even able to fight on par with Luma too at one point. And Luma's a pretty solid B tier. Like Luma's pretty much on par with Forearms. Luma was able to take out a pretty good amount of Ben's aliens, like Crash Hopper, Shock Squatch, and it honestly felt like Julie was fighting her better than those two did.
Yeah, I definitely feel like B's where she belongs. Also, Julie's cool. Sucks about what happened there.
We don't talk about that.
We also don't talk about her Omniverse design.
You could also argue that the versatility of Ship, like he could turn into the Arterian Obliterator, that piece of tech that the Forever Knights had, that has like faster than light capability.
Oh yeah.
So that adds on top of like her having the mech suit that can fight on par with Luma. I feel like that makes her a pretty solid B tier.
Definitely.
On top of the fact that they have like the versatility from being able to shapeshift and possess any piece of technology. Yeah, I feel like that's going to be a solid B tier there.
It's kind of funny how effective Julie actually is.
Yeah, like she's honestly one of the stronger like side characters of the main characters. Like of all the people that go and fight during the Alien Force the climax against the hybrid, like besides Darkstar, I'd probably say she's the strongest one besides the main three.
Don't forget Kevin's car.
That's true.
Julie and Ship versus Kevin's car. Who wins?
All right, the next one's going to be pretty interesting. It's Rook, and I feel like when we first went through the series and like gathered the feats, I feel like I underrated Rook a little bit. Like I kind of put him as like a street tier character, but honestly, in reality, like he's pretty much superhuman in like every regard.
Yeah, and his multi-tool is really effective. It's extremely versatile.
Yeah, the multi-tool goes hard.
Oh yeah,
the proto tool, yeah, goes pretty hard. He's got the plasma blasts. Like we mentioned, he's got those energy nets that can restrain Fistina. And not to mention that Rook has the ability to disable tech. Like he has that energy blade that can phase through technology. And I don't know what it does. I don't know if it fries the wiring or whatever it does. But he was able to disable. I'm pretty sure it was pretty similar armor to what Fistina uses. Actually, it was that stuff that Fistrick had at the beginning of Omniverse.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I just don't know what it was called.
And the Nematrix, while it doesn't really have the same implications as the Omnitrix, it should still be pretty durable, and his lasers were still able to cut through it. Which I guess that isn't too applicable to combat, but it just shows like the output that the Proto Tool is capable of outputting.
Would you say that he would lose to Grandpa Max in a fight?
I don't think so, because I feel like he takes strength. He's got I remember Animo had those fire-breathing ants at the beginning of Omniverse, and I think like a few, like 5 or so of them were capable of overpowering Wrath, and Rook was still able to hold back one of them with just his like grabbing their claw or grabbing their teeth or whatever. I guess fangs, you could say, and just holding them back.
I think they're called mandibles.
Yeah, mandibles, I guess. But even just not without the Wrath scaling, just the implication that they're giant ants that have strength relative to their size. Considering how, I don't know what it is, like ants can lift like 100 times their own body weight.
8 times, yeah, something crazy like that.
I don't know the exact number. I'll throw it on to show how inaccurate I am, but it's still pretty good. Like I feel like that's still a pretty considerably superhuman feat, and he was also able, with aid from the Proto Tool, because a lot of what he used was the grappling hook on the Proto Tool. That thing is like weirdly good. It was able to wrap around one of Charmcaster's mana golems, and he was able to throw it into the other mana golems. And in Ultimate Alien Force, those things are pretty good. Like they were overpowering Mineral Kevin, who we can see is on the tier list. He's got some pretty decent derp feats.
I googled the ant thing, and I'm getting a lot of very conflicting answers. The first, you know how sometimes Google will just answer you at the top of the screen? This one says 5,000 times their own strength. Another person says 20 times, somebody else says 50 times. So, ants are strong, Rook is strong. I definitely think he's physically more powerful than Grandpa Max. His tech, I don't know if his tech is 1-to-1 better, but the multi-tool is a lot more standard than a lot of what Grandpa Max has.
Yeah, like I would say in terms of standard gear, like the Proto Tool is better than any single piece of tech that Grandpa Max has. And not to mention his skill too. He was able to take out Kundo, who was you could argue that in terms of skill, Rook is more skilled than any single alien that Ben has, because Kundo was able to clown on Kick and Hawk pretty hard, and in turn, Rook at the end of that same episode was able to overpower Kundo in close quarters combat.
I still think that Kick and Hawk statement was weird. I don't know why he said that.
I don't know why he would say that. Maybe it's just because Kick and Hawk's species inherently knows martial arts, which I don't know how you have martial arts ingrained in your DNA.
Ancestral memory of kicking ass.
Yeah, and I guess in terms of like an overall fighter, I might even put Rook over Fistina. I mean, he has captured Fistina before.
Yeah, with the benefit of his tech and skill, I feel like it's fine.
Yeah, like I would say Fistina has better strength than Rook does, but in pretty much every other area, Fistina takes it.
Or Rook takes it, rather.
But yeah, whatever. Yeah, Fistina wishes she could take it.
Rook has like a girlfriend, I think, back in his home planet.
Yeah, premarital dating is...
premarital dating? You meet a girl, get married immediately. That's the only way it's safe.
So we got actually another galvanic mechamorph armor, and it actually has pretty similar scaling to Julie. This is I don't know if you saw it, but it's that CGI. I think it's Destroy All Aliens.
Oh my god. Yes, I saw that one. Like a long time ago.
It's stated as canon, but there is a lot of stuff that happens in that movie that does contradict the canon. But since it's considered canon, I guess we'll include him. I don't think he has a name. I think he's just called Asmith's dad, so we're just going to call him Dadsmith for short.
Dadsmith?
But he was pretty good. His main feat was he was fighting pretty well against forearms.
I can't remember if...
So hence why I was saying he has like pretty similar scaling to Julie.
Was he trying to take the Omnitrix from Ben so he could use it to like kill all the aliens that its DNA holds? Something like that.
I think that he thought that Ben was in cahoots with that evil Waybig that weirdly had the same model as Asmith from the video game, or as Albedo from the video game, but it actually ended up being that the Omnitrix transformed Asmith into that Waybig.
I see.
It was a weird movie, yeah. But the main thing that I remember him doing is fighting on par with forearms.
You just put him in a low B tier then? Probably not as consistent as Julie, I would expect, since he's from a weird movie.
And I would argue that he did do worse against 10-year-old forearms than Julie did against Omniverse Luma. And the armor does have a weird weakness where it makes the user more aggressive and like kind of single-minded, so it's not really conducive of like having a strategy. You just kind of go at it.
It gives the user wrath disease.
But yeah, I would say it's probably fair to put him in low B tier below Julie. Because like I'm kind of blanking for any feat that he has other than fighting and kind of losing to forearms. He did give forearms one of his best speed feats though, so that's got to be worth something. I guess next we can do Tetrax, and he's a weird one because you would think he'd be comparable to Diamond Head, so we would probably put him in a similar place to where we put Diamond Head. But that's just another thing that has to do with the power creep of Ben 10, because he's on par with original series Diamond Head, and we've talked about how several times on these tier lists that the original series has like the worst feats without a doubt in the whole series.
Yeah, and we see Tetrax show up later in the series a couple of times, but he never displays anything similar to what Diamond Head is capable of later on.
Like he does in the Chromostone episode, he does show up with that piece of technology, then destroys Diamond Head with it, but I feel like that's not really a combat feat. It's more like he just walked up to Ben had his guard down, and he just did that. Plus the implication that Diamond Head pretty much mogged on Vilgax every time they fought after the original series. And Tetrax's whole arc is that he is far weaker than Vilgax. So he was serving him because he couldn't beat him.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't be beneath somebody that you could fight against. I don't know what the logic behind that would be.
That being said, though, he does, in that same Destroy All Aliens movie, he was able to not do any significant harm, but he was able to kind of make that way big cry out in pain.
It's like stepping on a Lego.
He was able to take out a Tetraman in the Secret of the Omnitrix movie. He pretty much one-shot him. And he has some decent tech, like he has the hoverboard, he has that weird prison cube where you can take it out and it just like shrinks someone down. And he was able to beat 6-6 and Crab. And him and 6-6 kind of have like a weird rivalry, but I would say that Tetrax is still probably above 6-6 by a pretty significant margin.
He's definitely the best of the bounty hunters that we see. That might just be because he shows up in the most episodes and gets the most feats, but regardless. If it were up to me, and I suppose that if in this episode 50% is, I would probably put him in between our two B people right now.
I could see that, because I don't think he did take out that Tetraman pretty easily, but I don't think that he has anything that would scale him at or above Luma. And even though you could say he's better than original series Diamond Head, like original series Diamond Head really doesn't have that many good feats. Like the best stuff we get from him is like falling from the atmosphere. I think he blocks like a multi-city block sized explosion, like a gas explosion of some sort with his diamonds. But yeah, I would probably say that he'd still be below Julie just due to her versatility and her scaling to Luma. Plus, like, if I don't think that Tetrax is taking out the Arterian Obliterator.
No, probably not.
Like, that thing has, like, it's way faster, has way more versatility with its weapons.
Yeah, I think right where he is seems fine.
Alright, we got a BC focus tier list right now. The next one is weird. Palette swapped Kevin himself, Cooper.
Cooper the Simp King. Yeah, I think 4 being a Simp D tier looks fine.
Yeah, because he doesn't, like, he's pretty cool. He has a cool power, but in terms of actual beats and, like, viability in combat, I think the best stuff he gets is in that Alien Force war against the Hybrid, where he brings that mech that can just, like, seemingly just has a bunch of missiles in its chest and that's it. Missiles being one of the least useful weapons in all of Ben 10.
Unless they're Humongosaurus missiles.
And the missiles themselves, they did cause a pretty big explosion that took out a bunch of DNA aliens. Like, I think it covered like a whole small little city block section of where they were fighting. And he does have other like miscellaneous tech that he could make. Like he has that glove that can go intangible, and he has the versatility too. He was able to adapt an ability that the Omnitrix had into blasters, but that did tire him out pretty significantly.
Yeah, that was really cool though.
But yeah, I would probably say he might need to be in D tier just because if Grandpa Mac just walked up and walloped him in the face, like I don't think he's gonna be able to. It's like the Dragon Ball Z effect. It's like if you don't let them load their attack, then
also I don't
GG.
even think those blasters did damage per se. They were using the Omnitrix's ability to cure DNA ailments and just reverting all the DNA aliens back to humans. So like even if you shot like Grandpa Max with that, I don't even know if it would do anything to him.
he's already at his genetic peak.
Yeah, unless he caught something from Verdona.
So yeah, I guess we can keep him in D. That might be a little controversial just because I feel like he's a pretty beloved character in the franchise, but in terms of combat, he really doesn't have a lot.
Right, and if you just put him, like, in a room with somebody, he's just a reasonably athletic-looking guy. That's it. Unless he's got I guess he could use his iPhone and turn it into some gun or something, but that's really it.
Yeah. So that's probably going to be where we have to leave him. So the next one's going to be a little weird too. I feel like it's Argit, King Argit, President Argit.
Alien X tier.
That's gotta be it. See, he's weird because he has no strength feats really, no speed feats really, but he has some decent durability. He was able to tank some screams from Echo Echo at one point, and then was finally knocked out when he got hit with Wall of Sound. So that's already pretty decent durability. which you could argue would be inconsistent if not for the Ultimate Kevin arc. Like, I remember when we first saw that feat where he got hit by an explosion from Ultimate Kevin that sent him all the way across the horizon and was seemingly not even unconscious from it.
Yeah, RJ is funny. He's like, have you ever heard those stories about wild animals like possums and stuff getting hit by cars and they'll pretend to be dead and they'll just get up and walk away when you go to look at them? That's RJ. Like, he gets hit by these planet-shaking people, and you're like, oh my god, is he dead? He's like, no, you idiot, I'm just pretending, leave me alone, so he goes away.
Yeah, Arjit's definitely a possum in human form, both in appearance and
I was going to say,
demeanor.
human form might be generous to him, even though he looks a bit more like a porcupine, kind of.
But in terms of durability, like, durability isn't even the best thing he has. Like, his quills, they honestly go kind of dummy.
Didn't he shoot Ultimate Kevin with some of them, and he got a little woozy?
No, he actually completely... they were in the Omniverse flashbacks during the Rooters arc. He was able to knock out 12-year-old Kevin after he had been mutated from the Omnitrix. So this is a Kevin that has, like, way big DNA and a bunch of other ridiculous stuff. Basically, he has the DNA of everything that Ben had between Alien Force and the original series, and his quills were still able to knock out Kevin. He was also able to knock out Ultimate Spider Monkey too, which is pretty insane considering Ultimate Spider Monkey scales above forearms.
I think you could make a real argument for high B Arjit. He might be slow, but his derb is enough, and he, like, touching him, you get the quills. So
you see, that's why it's a bit complicated, because I feel like Rook would capture him if they fought. But I guess you could argue because Rook has knowledge of the quills, and probably his best feat that he gets, like the best feat that we can really surmise. Because I mean, knocking out mutated Kevin is impressive, but we don't really know how powerful he would be in that form. But he was able to use every quill on his body to knock out that way bad.
One shot.
The mommy way, the Dommy mommy way bad.
The one that I think we also left off the last list.
Yeah, we did. we did. I didn't want those comments.
A little clip
I don't
art.
Need those in my staring at the ceiling.
A little
when
clip
I'm trying
art
to sleep.
of her and put her in A tier on this one or something. I honestly think that you could put Arjit in B tier. I know he's like slow and dumb, but under the right circumstances, he one-shots some pretty powerful people and has taken an ass kicking from people who were equally as strong and been fine.
Yeah, that's just so weird because he's not really portrayed as a powerhouse in terms of the story. Like he's a slimy little scumbag boy, but his feats are just insane. Like, I mean, his quills were also able to knock out Echo Echo. Obviously, not like the most impressive character in terms of durability, but they were also able to go through plumber suits, which are fine in water pressure close to the bottom of the ocean.
If we wanted to be a little conservative, we could even just put him at the top of C, right next to Rook.
Yeah, I feel like I want to put him just below Rook, because I feel like Rook would beat him in a fight.
True. Definitely, I think Rook would beat him because Rook can like capture him and stuff without killing him. But actually killing Arjit, I feel like could prove difficult.
Yeah, like I feel like Rook would just be like something you couldn't even show on Cartoon Network. He'd just be like brutalizing him over and over again, and Arjit would just be like, "Dude, can you please stop?" He wouldn't actually go unconscious.
Wrath versus Arjit would be real funny.
I honestly think that Arjit, like if we take the characters into account, Arjit might be able to beat Wrath just by being like sneaky.
Yeah.
But yeah, Arjit's definitely the wild card of the list.
Or just poking him in the butt a couple times. Oh, is that Asmith?
Yeah, it's our boy Asmith. I honestly, when I put him on the list, I was like, how are we even going to do this? Because, I mean, if we're being real, he's D tier. But if we do a Grandpa Max and we give him the benefit of the doubt with tech, then he would definitely be higher.
I don't think we can do that. We put Cooper in D.
That's a good point. And
you can put Asmith above Cooper.
Put Asmith above Cooper.
Just because, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like
because I don't know.
Asmith at least is smarter than Cooper.
That's true.
But Cooper
would just like
in a cage. I was just thinking of when they get in the spaceship and Ben is Brainstorm and he's flying the ship, and Kevin is like, I just can't figure out why we're bringing bug eyes over there.
Racist Kevin. Yeah, I feel like we gotta keep Azimuth at the bottom. We did the same thing with Gray Matter and Jury Rig, because we can't assume that they would have anything to build off of.
Yeah, and I did literally say that in an arena, Cooper wouldn't have any tech, and it would be so unfair to give Azimuth like more tech than Cooper.
Yeah, and it's not like a Grandpa Max situation where Azimuth always has something to fight with, like standard on him. Like he doesn't keep it strapped up. Like
the best thing that Azimuth has is just like screaming, "Alexa, summon the Omnitrix," and Ben shows up.
But yeah, we might get some comments on it, which I guess is fair, but I just can't make any assumptions with Azimuth.
It's fine.
So next, I think we might have our highest character yet with Ben 23, because he is an Omnitrix user, just not a very good one.
Well, unlike Albedo, I'm pretty sure he shows clockwork, doesn't he?
I don't think so. No, because
or is it Ben? But he
Ben
turned
that turned into clockwork,
and
then Ben 23 turned into upgrade.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. And he doesn't have way big.
No, he does have way big. It just wasn't shown. I don't know if we want to, because there are statements made by third party means, like showing what he would have. He just didn't get a chance to use it, like because apparently he does have forearms. He does have way big. He does have Frankenstrike.
Who did he use in the Time War?
Yeah, when he was fighting against Mad Ben, he used Cannon Bolt, and he got pretty quickly taken care of by Diamond Head.
Right, Mad Ben was actually one of the stronger evil Bens because he had way big and Diamond Head.
Yeah, he straight up did like beat Ben Prime and Ben 23 twice. Like he only lost because Ben Prime just kind of bruised his fragile ego.
Yeah. Mad Ben was cool, but Ben 23, I still think you could argue for A because look who we have in B so far.
Yeah, I definitely think he would be in A. It is mentioned that he has he has clockwork. Like there's a lot of aliens that I think there's like a montage that gets shown of what he can transform into in the Mad Ben, or it's at least mentioned.
Yeah, or when Ben
I remember what it was, because when Ben Prime turned into clockwork, Ben 23 was like, why are you turning into that guy? Like basically implying that he does have clockwork.
Yeah, he comments on a couple.
But I would also think that he wouldn't be smart enough to utilize clockwork, and I don't know, that one's kind of complicated. I definitely think he's ARS, but I guess it just depends on how seriously we want to take him having clockwork, because he does have way big too. He also has energy. Like he has some pretty high tier aliens.
I would just put him in A because I'm pretty sure he's younger than Ben Prime, or at least he looks like he is, and he's definitely more immature and stuff like that. So I would put him in A, even though I know he has some of those aliens. One, we never see them, so they're only discussed. And two, he is a more immature, less experienced, weaker Ben. So S might be stretching it.
I think that's fair. We'll keep him in A. We'll keep him in A, because now that I'm thinking about it, I really don't see him using clockwork in a way that would be conducive for him to be S. Like he would probably just like slow down time, I would think. A little speculative, but any argument that you make with Ben 23 using clockwork is going to be speculative because he never used it.
Yeah, A looks right to me.
Okay, so we got the child of Mr. Ben Tennyson from the future. We got Chrono Spanner. And I honestly, like, I remember when I first saw him in Omniverse, I was like, oh, dude, we got another time manipulator. I'm so excited to, like, jot down his feats. And then he just didn't have any feats.
His only feat is, like, going back in time to help his dad get laid.
He's wingman tier.
He's like, I really need to make sure I exist, so I'm going to help set my parents up.
So, I mean, the suit he has was made by Professor Paradox, and I think it is stated to give him, like, enhanced strength. So he basically has time travel, vaguely enhanced strength, and he does have some Tekadon tech with him. Like, I think he has one of the those like weird cubes that you can use to make Tekkadan battle mechs. So I guess you could argue he might have that in standard, and then he could have a Tekkadan battle mech as a summon, as a Skyrim style conjuration spell. But in terms of like direct combat, he really doesn't get any feats. Like I think he might have to be C tier.
Yeah, he's like a... I mean, look at who we have in C. We've got Rook and Max in C. I feel like that is very comfortably the type of character Spanner is.
Yeah. Like, really, all he has in direct combat is his superhuman strength, and we've never even seen him use his time travel in combat.
Yeah. I don't even know if he could.
Yeah, like, he has blasters and stuff. Like, he has your standard stuff, but I definitely think he'd probably be below Rook. He might even be below Festina, I don't know. I guess he could have a Tekkadan battle mech with him to hypothetically counter her own armor, but even that's a little presumptuous.
Maybe you could put him above her just because he's definitely like a more intelligent fighter than she is. Below the epic Arjit, though.
Okay, I feel like it is a little weird just because we're going to have a lot of characters that are like that where it's like, well, this character has barely any feats, so I have no idea where to put them, which we're actually going to have coming up next.
Yeah, I think C tier is going to be really bloated in this episode.
Yeah, it's going to be the B tier of this episode. I think last time we had a huge B tier.
Right, because they were mostly bad guys who like gave Ben a little trouble and then would lose to a stronger alien. But then these characters are guys who lose to those villains. Like guys like Rook, Max, Spanner, they would lose to like a B tier villain, and then Ben would have to beat them.
All right, so next we got Clyde Fife. I think he's Ben's cousin, is he?
Bro, I barely remember this guy, but yes, I think his power was he was very clumsy, and it would do cartoony things where he would like trip on a cord and it would electrocute somebody, that type of stuff.
Yeah, but he also has that weird dollar store Omnitrix, where it had like nanotech that gave him like a weird Tony Stark like armor. If I remember correctly, he was able to beast on Tekkadan battle mechs with it, but he does have that clumsiness factor as well.
I don't care for this character.
Yeah, honestly, we can just like not tier him, and I wouldn't even care. I think he beats Liam, and then he beats some Tekkadan battle mechs. So I guess maybe just put him, like he's basically just he basically just gets the Retaliator armor or whatever it was that Dadsmith uses. So maybe just put him in low B tier.
God, that's so annoying, but yeah.
I don't like it though. But his nanotech armor is pretty decent. Like I said, it was able to block attacks from and take out Tekkadan battle mechs. Gives him enhanced stats in every category. I think he gets like freezing powers as well.
Yeah, he's unfortunately fairly effective. I've got his wiki pulled up now. He looks pretty cool. He looks like Galactus kind of, but in gold.
Yeah. If a character that I would compare Clyde Fife to is definitely Galactus.
Yeah, he's got lasers, flamethrowers, a freeze ray. He's got shields to block Tekkadan battle mech stuff. For some reason, his arms can stretch, and he has guns.
He really got like the short end of the stick with the Tennyson genes. Like he's the only non-Chad Tennyson we ever meet.
True, very true.
Yeah, I think he is. You remember Grandma Vera from that weird retirement episode?
Yes.
I think he's her child's child, so I think he's like Ben's second cousin or something.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Vera Tennyson is his grandma.
Okay.
And Uncle or Grandpa Max is his great uncle. So Ben is his second cousin.
I forgot that he calls his suit the Cinco Tricks.
Yeah. Yeah. Terrible.
All right, so as soon as we move off of Clyde Fife, the better. But next we're gonna do a pretty big boy. We got the Contumelia, and anything below S is obviously going to be
objectively wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like we recently did like a top 5 strongest characters in Ben 10, who will actually cover a character that was on that list as well. But the Contumelia literally existed before the Omniverse itself. Like they're responsible for creating the Omniverse. They created the Annihilarg. They can create like 5th dimensional barriers, which I think we all know definitely means something significant and isn't just mumbo jumbo that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, they're just one of those characters that like exists outside of space and time, and creates and destroys universes at will. And nobody short of like Alien X or Clockwork even belongs in the same conversation as those characters.
So you mentioned him. With our time old
Alien
tradition.
X tier.
Yeah. Hold on. Forgot what color S was.
I think.
Blue. Green.
Well, Alien X tier should be green. S is probably red.
There it is. Okay. That row above. There she is. But yeah, the time-old honored tradition of adding Alien X tier in the middle of the video. Do you think that these characters would make it to Alien X tier? I mean, I personally don't, but I know there's been arguments made for them being on par with Alien X.
It's just hard. I guess the most powerful thing that they show and do is stuff like the Annihilarg, but Alien X kind of no diffs the Annihilarg.
Yeah. And you could make the argument that the Celestial Sapien arm that was used by Skurd to break through that fifth dimensional barrier was there to protect the Contumelia from the Annihilarg. So you could argue that if they got hit by the Annihilarg, they would be in significant danger.
True.
If a barrier that Alien X's arm broke through was there to protect them, I feel like that's a pretty solid argument to put Alien X above them pretty definitively.
Yeah, and I think it just being his arm more speaks to it being his raw derb than any sort of reality manipulating nonsense.
Yeah. Okay. And it was with a sword too. Like it was just like raw physical strength basically.
Yeah. And you can also always just hit him with the old lack of feats argument, so they just simply don't belong above somebody like Alien X, even if they may arguably stronger, they haven't displayed the same level of strength consistently as him.
Yeah, so we'll keep him in good old S tier. But another S tier, good boy Zed, eh?
Oh, maybe.
Or good girl Zed, actually. I'm pretty sure
that's right. It is a girl dog. More realistically, though, A tier probably.
I mean, I don't know if we include the Nematrix, because currently Zed doesn't have it. Zed is just Kevin's little dog.
I think we probably should include it, because for a majority of the series, I think she was wielding it.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of where we would put them then, because I feel like it might be a solid B tier for Zed. He's got the apex predators for characters like Heat Blast, characters like Crash Hopper, who I think all were in B tier. There is also the Hypnotic, which is Big Chill's species, but I don't think that's through any kind of output.
No, it's through like literally hypnotism.
Yeah, so I don't think the Hypnotic necessarily scales above Big Chill in terms of like actual combat. But then there is the Tyrannopede, which is Humongosaur's predator. So
I can't even believe Humongosaur has a predator.
Yeah, I know, right? They also have Armadillo's predator as well. So I feel like it might be an argument for low A tier if we include the Nematrix.
I think so. I think her with the Nematrix has enough variety, and some of the really more powerful ones, like the Nemapede or whatever you just called it, whose name I don't remember, the Humongosaur eating one.
Nobody blames you for that.
Yeah. Those are the type of names that I don't even know if they are said in the series. They might just be wiki names. Some of them definitely were said, but I feel like it couldn't possibly have been all of them. I feel like low A is the best spot for her. Below Ben 23, because Ben 23 could beat her in the same way that regular Ben does, just by changing aliens. But some of those guys are really strong.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Plus, you could argue that Zed with the Nematrix would probably, in terms of raw power, be stronger than Kyber, who I think we put in B tier last time.
Yeah, I don't see Kyber beating anything that can eat Humongosaur.
He did technically, obviously, but it was more like a hunting type situation.
Yeah, more like I'm gonna beat you with a bunch of prep and wit and then trap you in some cage.
Okay, well, speaking of trapping things in cages, we got the dragon from Alien Force next.
Somebody call PETA. Just kidding. They just execute him.
So this dragon he only appears for one episode. So I think there was actually plans for it to be part of a larger arc, but I think they scrapped that at one point. Got like anything that a dragon like would traditionally have, like fire breath and all that, plus flight. It was stated that no weapon on Earth was able to take it out over thousands of years. I don't know if that means a nuke as well. I doubt it, but that could just be hyperbole. But I mean, when you think about the tech that the Ben 10 verse has, and even just the Forever Knights have, like that's a pretty significant implication if they had nothing that was capable of taking it out permanently.
That's true, though the Forever Knights, just by virtue of being knights, I think a lot of that is swords and regular run-of-the-mill guns. I don't think the Forever Knights...
Well, then again, they do have that laser that they used in this episode, which did significant harm to the dragon, and while it was doing that, it also did pretty significant harm to Chromastone.
Right, but that was tech not from Earth.
Yeah, I know. I was just meaning more so that kind of speaks to the dragon's energy durability, that it seemed to be harmed harmed at the same amount as Chromastone was through energy.
True.
So I feel like that's a pretty significant implication for its durability, but it doesn't really have any output that I can remember.
Does it ever? It fights Humongosaur too, doesn't it?
I know he fights Spider Monkey, but I think the fight gets interrupted because they get the translator on him during the fight.
Oh, that's right. And they find out he's not a wild animal, but he's an alien.
And just like the uncanny like picture of him just operating a ship with his dragon thumb.
I liked that a lot, actually. I thought that was really funny.
But he's another one that's hard to put a real tier to, because really the only thing that we have is he's incredibly durable, and he apparently has energy durability on par with Chromastone.
Oh yeah, other than that, he doesn't really fight a ton.
So maybe I don't want to put him in A tier just because of lack of feats. It's an Antonio situation here,
Good old
where he gets like
Antonio.
one episode and feats against a very high tier alien, or feats in relativity to a really high tier alien. But other than that, we have nothing to go off of.
I don't know, slap him in B tier. I don't think he belongs in A, and he's obviously too strong for C.
I think B tier probably. The fact that he was captured by the Forever Knights, do you think top of B tier maybe, or?
Do you think he goes above Julie?
Well, I just don't see Julie being able to take him out. Like, the best she has is her strength, which I guess you could argue could take him out, but none of her output is going, like, her missiles or her lasers are going to take him out.
Well, ship could always turn into the spaceship.
Yeah, and then you could even argue that Ship could turn into the laser that was used to incapacitate him. So maybe put him above Tetrax and below Julie.
Yeah, that's probably fine. I feel like Julie has enough feats to be better than his vagueness.
I feel like I might be just overhyping the Chromastone comparison, because that was pretty early into Alien Force before Chromastone got his crazy energy feats.
Yeah, Alien Force was unique in the sense that you could really see Ben getting better and stronger with his aliens. And a really good example of that being Ben got kind of mogged on by a hybrid as Humongosaur really early on. But we all know how strong Humongosaur ends up being. Like,
yeah, like he actually ended up being able to take out Hybrid pretty easily by the end of season 1.
Yeah, familiarity with the aliens, and familiarity with the aliens is something that's really important to Ben, because he fights and loses to Vilgax on Humongosaur, and then when he gets all his other aliens back and turns into Diamond Head for the first time in the series since the original series, he literally tells Vilgax that it's over because he's had a lot of practice with that one.
Yeah, okay, so I feel like we can probably just keep him where he is. Just lack of feats keeps him out of A tier. So next one's going to be a little weird, because Bezel, he gets hyped up throughout the whole series. Like, from the original series, Hex was literally using his charms to be as powerful as he was, and it's directly stated that Bezel is the most powerful sorcerer of all time.
Oh, yeah. This old man.
Mumbo-looking Teen Titans
He's
ass.
like a Merlin type character.
This janitor. He really has no feats, but in terms of lore implication, he should be stronger than any other magic user.
Fortunately, we have no magic users on the tier list yet, so we can put him in D.
No comparisons. And he has that weird gag where it's like he prefers to do like magician style magic, like fake magic, even though he's the most powerful sorcerer of all time. I feel like this is one of the things that Omniverse really dropped the ball with. It's like, I would rather have Bezel been like an actual serious character, because he's literally been hyped to be like super powerful throughout the whole series.
Yeah, it's really strange to have a character who's hyped up as this powerful mage, but he prefers like show magic. He's like the opposite of Zatanna. Zatanna is like a stage performer, but she uses real magic to do it. And he's the opposite. He's like a real wizard, but he just almost doesn't use magic.
And I feel like the lore implication is that he's stronger than Gwen, but I don't know if that's necessarily including her Anodite form. I think that's just like stronger than Gwen in terms of just raw magic. But his title is greatest sorcerer of all time. Like, I mean, we had Charmcaster in pretty high into A.
Yeah, she's pretty
if I remember
strong.
correctly. And the implication is that Bezel is stronger than her.
Until, of course, she turns him into a charm.
Yeah, see, that's the issue. Yeah, like,
I don't know. He's really weird because he doesn't really have any feats. It's all just implications. But, I don't know. Maybe just keep him at the bottom of A.
yeah, I think maybe just the bottom of A, because he has no feats whatsoever.
Right, but there's no way that he would actually let himself lose to somebody below A.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's almost like he nerfed himself. Like, you could argue that he just let Charmcaster turn him into a totem, because after she was defeated, he just kind of like pissed off and just never came into the series again.
He just doesn't care. He's a crazy old man who's retired.
Yeah, I guess we can just keep him in A. I originally thought maybe putting him at the top of A, but like you said, he doesn't really have any feats that we can go off of. It's all just the implication that he's the quote-unquote greatest sorcerer. So I guess we'll keep him where he is.
Right, like who's to say that Ben 23 couldn't beat him? We don't know.
Yeah, like we literally do not know. So next we got Alan Albright. I really liked him in Alien Force. I remember when I was a kid and Alien Force first started airing, and they were like, yeah, you're Heat Blast now. I thought that they were going to start doing like people taking over the mantle of some of Ben's old aliens. I thought that would have been a really cool concept, but I guess they just dropped it.
No, but I do like Alan because he's very obviously a Miles Morales reference.
Yeah, I guess he is. Does he predate Miles?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because Miles Morales only appeared in 2011, and I feel like Alien Force is before that.
I feel like that would be pretty wacky. Miles Morales really didn't show up in comics until 2011.
Yeah, I actually have his first appearance
Let's
comic.
see, when was Alan's first episode appearance?
In 2008. Oh my god, Miles Morales is an Alan Albright reference.
That's crazy.
That he
Even
predates
though
Miles by
they're
3 years.
both an African-American younger version of an existing hero who has the same powers as them and then gets mentored.
It's pretty wacky. He's pretty cool though. Overall, like I really like his just like his intro scene where he's flying through the cornfield. That's just like one of my favorite scenes from Alien Force. He's got a really cool character introduction. He does get knocked out by getting hit by a car, so I feel like he's not really all that. Like I feel like a lot of people in C tier might beat him.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is inexperience with the power and just being a child. Like as he gets older, he might be able to move up a little bit, but unfortunately, I actually don't think he beats Clyde 5 like ever.
Oh no, I definitely don't think so. Also, in that same episode, he gets neutralized by being in a freezer. Like he can't turn into his heat blast form because he's in a freezer. But I think that goes to show like what you were saying earlier, or just a second ago, that he definitely gets stronger because he's later able to resist being flash frozen by Ultimate Kevin.
Yeah, who's definitely colder than your average freezer.
Okay, prove it.
Whoa.
Feats.
Feats of the freezer? What are the freezer feats? Actually, obviously, characters don't improve in strength, and we know that the freezer was able to neutralize him in his heat blast form, whereas Kevin was not. Therefore, the freezer is...
So basically what you're saying is A tier freezer.
Yeah, freezer is actually colder than Big Chill. Below absolute zero common household freezer. 7D freezer.
And I keep food in the freezer, so I scale above that, actually, logically.
Oh.
Anyway, I think that we should put Alan right here. I think he's below Arjit. I think he's below Rook. But yeah, Alan's flames...
Is that the girl...
What's that?
Oh yeah, you go ahead. I was gonna talk about the next girl, but if we're not done with Alan, then go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say that Alan's flames can melt metal, but that's all he really has. Like, he's not... I wouldn't say he's on par with Heat Blast to any degree, really. I mean, we see with the other... I mean, we'll get into the other Plumber's kids, or I guess the Rooters. They're not even close to the aliens that they're hybrids of. But I think that putting Alan, he's like more of a traditional, like... He'd be like an Avatar The Last Airbender level kind of fire manipulator.
I still don't like that retcon.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I would much prefer kids. Them being... The Plumbers do be deadbeat dads, for sure.
Yeah, except, I guess, are they actually? Because these characters don't even actually have plumber dads.
They actually don't even have parents, apparently.
Yeah, they're little lab experiments. Or what are they, orphans that were kidnapped by Cervantes and then turned into freaks?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Kind of block it out of my body, or out of my mind and body. So next we got Elena from the renowned Alien Swarm Ben 10 movie that is somehow canon.
I remember seeing that one. It was live action and Humongosaur looked kind of weird.
Yeah, to be fair, it was like Cartoon Network CGI at the time, but you know, yeah, they did the best they could.
It's a shame they didn't have Tom Holland, Ben Tennyson back then.
Oh, then it would just be peak. I mean, when you think about it, they should have just had Tom Holland play Kevin and Ben. Really.
They should have Tom Holland play Gwen. Also.
The perfect movie.
And Grandpa Max.
Hollywood's
it's like
favorite
one of
movie.
Those, yeah, Bollywood's favorite movie. It's one of those movies where, like, Adam Sandler plays all the characters or whatever, but it's Tom Holland.
The Jack and Jill of the Ben 10 universe.
Yeah, or one of those, like, Medea movies.
I think we're on to something. You're writing this down, right?
Yeah, write this down. I'll get it in my notes right now. Siri's been listening the whole time.
Alright, so, but yeah, the Nanite Queen, Elena or whatever, I don't really remember her having that many crazy feats, really. I guess you could argue, because Nanomech defeated her, right?
Yes.
That movie. Yeah, so, yeah, when she comes back in Ultimate Alien, I feel like she is a little stronger. Really, like, what feats does she even have?
I think she helps Ben defeat somebody else who's, like, puppeteering the nanites. And then almost kills Ben, but then Ben is like, but don't you love me? Wink, wink. And she's like, yeah, and then she self-destructs.
She did hold down Armadillo. That might just be more of Ultimate Alien shenanigans, where the villain of the week is able to inexplicably hold down one of the strongest aliens in that series at that point.
Armadillo is just one of those characters that's, like, in some ways ludicrously strong, and in other ways he gets mogged on.
It seems obvious, but Ben does beat, like, some of her nanites. Like, she makes, like, some weird monsters out of nanites, and Waybig ends up taking them out. And really, it seems like all she does is, like, choke people with nanites, or with the nano chips. Because I think Ben turns into Ultimate Echo at one point, and I think, like, Julie ends up, like, talk no jutsuing Elena to not kill Ben.
Another common Julie dub.
But yeah, Elena... Yeah, I don't know, honestly. Like, she has the nano chips. All she really does is suffocate people with them. I guess we can put her in, like, B, because she was able to overpower Armadillo. But this is another, like, Clyde Fife type character where I'm like, they've appeared for one episode and barely did anything. I don't really know what to
Could she be
do with
Clyde?
I mean, she would probably beat Clyde. I mean, it's probably a hard counter, really, because she has the nano chips, and he has, like, nanite. He has the nanite suit.
Yeah.
So that might be just a little bit of a hard counter.
Could she beat Julie?
That's a good question. Julie didn't have the
She
ship
lost
suit.
to Julie in the episode.
She got convinced by the Chad Julie to not kill Ben.
Could put her above the dragon.
I don't know. This is another weird one. I don't know, dude. I honestly just I'm at a loss. I have no clue.
Yeah, I definitely think B is her home, but where in B?
Where in B? I guess below the dragon? Question mark? Because Julie didn't have the ship suit during this episode. Inexplicably. I don't know, dude. I honestly don't know. I have no clue where to put this lady.
I guess that's right where you have her is probably fine. She's like the same level of vague as the dragon, so just putting her with him is probably okay.
Yeah, it's literally like another character where it's like, oh, they have feats against high tier aliens, but like, it's like one specific thing where she tries to choke Ben to death. Even though we know that Ultimate Echo Echo doesn't need to breathe, but she's somehow choking him. How that works, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's probably fine.
Whatever. Let's just move on from. Dang, we got like Ben waifus like all in a row right here. Because next we got
I can't remember her name. She's the girl
we are
who
fake
stretches.
fans. I literally cannot remember her name right now.
I know the next girl's name is Eunice, but I can't remember her name.
She's like one of my favorite girls that Ben dates. I forgot her name. What's wrong with me?
But you know what? Antonio stole her.
Oh no.
If you're right, go see his face. I'm trying to remember. Esther. Esther.
Esther, let's go. Big Mike dub. Okay. Get back on the track now that we've taken away all of our
credibility.
Ben 10. Yeah, like our all of our Ben 10 clout just completely absorbed in that single moment. But yeah, Esther.
Man, Esther is cool. I'm bummed she's not.
She's hitched up with it. Hey, at least she's got a good man with her now.
Yeah,
Antonio.
true. I know she'll be safe, happy, and satisfied with Antonio.
She's made of tungsten. So that's like one of the strongest natural metals in terms of tensile strength. So she's got a good Luffy thing going on. I'm pretty sure that metal's. You can correct me if I'm wrong, science man, but it has better tensile strength than titanium.
And it's also got a really high melting point.
Yeah, like they literally like had to get like Earth's core level heat just for them to feel comfortable.
Yeah, it has the highest tensile strength at temperatures even above 1500. So it is definitely one of, if not the highest tensile strength metals, and has one of the highest melting points.
And she was able to grab a nuclear fusion engine. So basically she's like the hard counter to any heat alien. And she was outmaneuvering Crash Hopper, who I think we mentioned in the Omnitrix alien tier list was able to intercept a missile that came from the atmosphere. But she was also able to fight on par with Rook in like close quarters, and they were having it was like a weird like motion blur, like high speed close quarters fight. So she's definitely got like decent skill, really good durability. She was able to outmaneuver an alien that's pretty fast.
She has better feats.
She is a hybrid too.
Oh yeah, yes, she's half human. I think she was found by the leader of their little tribe down there.
She also tanked hits from Luma as well, so she's got similar kind of scaling to Julie with ship.
She has some pretty good feats, honestly. One of Ben's girlfriends tend to be half decent, it seems. She has like a feat for almost every stat, which is shocking considering half of B doesn't.
Yeah, like I feel like she might end up being B tier.
Yeah,
like she doesn't really have like the greatest strength. Yeah, I think that maybe putting her in B tier could be appropriate. It feels weird putting some of these characters above Rook, honestly.
Yeah. B tier, honestly, B tier is probably fine.
Because she's able to fight on par with Rook, and honestly, it kind of seemed like she was overwhelming him a little bit. And plus, she's got that crazy durability. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know where to put her. Maybe the bottom of B.
I know that they they stay close to lava because like room temperature is friggin' freezing for these guys. That's why she walks around in a parka.
Yeah, she does have a hard time dealing with cold climates, just like the rest of them. Like I think just being like in a cave, like you could see their breath because their body temperature was just like not what it needed to be. But I think she's able to handle the conditions better than the other ones. That's why she was the one doing the mission to go get the nuclear fusion engine.
Right, because she's half human.
Yeah, so she even then she doesn't have as near a problem. Also, she can take a pounding from Antonio, which is like that's an A tier feat.
Peak.
I'm taking that out. Anyway, next I guess we got Eunice.
She is the one that does animals, right? She like copies rabbits and a bear and stuff.
Phrasing, but yeah.
I'm sorry for you Pokemon fans out there. I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah, when she absorbed the agility of a rabbit, she was honestly kind of dogging on Sunder in close quarters.
That guy sucks.
Yeah, Sunder does kind of suck. But yeah, she was able to. He was a snake. I think she was able to outskill him and like judo throw him. And then she was also able to stomp through like a pretty big group of DNA infected arachnochimps, so like spider monkeys, and she was able to take their powers too while she was doing it. So she's pretty decent. I think she might still stay in C tier just because of the lack of what she's absorbed. Like I still think Rook would probably beat her.
Yeah, I think Rook is versatile enough, skilled enough. He's got the proto tool. You could probably put her. I think she might beat. I'm blanking on Heat Blast Kid's name. We said so many different things for him.
Oh, Alan.
Alan. We called him like so many different names in that little segment there that I just blanked on his name.
Yeah, Heat Blast 2. I feel like Ardrit would probably be sneaky enough to take her out. We already know that he can affect arachnochimps with his quills, so even like her best form is still not going to be much. Plus, her base form is just human.
Yeah.
And she honestly might be like a Cooper Asmuth situation because we can't assume that she'll be able to absorb anything around her, but she already has bear, rabbit, snake, and spider monkey DNA. So that's kind of her base.
Was it Gwen that she scanned first, and that's why she's a girl?
Dude, I don't even want to talk about how weird it is that Ben had a love interest with somebody that has the DNA of his cousin.
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
Yeah, we'll gloss over that just like the series did. Anyway, next we got Technorg, I think is his name.
Good old Technorg. He's one of the original series, like minor antagonists or something, right?
Yeah, he was on that gladiatorial combat.
Right, and I think, was he the one that like ran the place for a while?
Yeah, he was like the top dog before Ben and Kevin took him out.
And he's one of Volcanus' species, I think.
Yeah, I believe he is. Yeah, he's one of Volcanus' species. I don't really like. He's one of those characters that again just appeared in one series. I think he was pretty on par with original series Forearms, and he was able to tank Kevin's Heat Blast Flames pretty well. Besides that, that's pretty much it. I think he was kind of dogging on Kevin and Ben before Kevin started using his brain.
Yes, and then eventually I think he got off-screened by Kevin.
Yeah, because the next time we saw him, Kevin was like next time we saw the Mega Cruiser, Kevin was like the big dog. So Kevin took him out off screen, even without Ben's help. I feel like he might have enough, like his scaling to Forearms and relative kind of like physical strength on par with original series mutated Kevin. That probably gets him into B tier.
Yeah, he should probably go around Tetrax, I would think.
I was going to say the exact same thing because they both have like relative scaling to Tetramans in the original series. I know Technorg was able to tank original series mutated Kevin's diamonds, so you could argue that he could do the same from Tetrax. But Tetrax's diamonds do have better durability, or I'm sorry, better output than what Kevin ever showed.
Yeah, because that was when they were still doing the 1/10 thing with Kevin.
Yeah. I think he might be below Clyde. I think he might even be below Esther, just because... Maybe not below Esther, but he doesn't really have any versatility. And as soon as Kevin started using his powers intelligently, he got pretty stomped.
I honestly might put him above Esther. I feel like Esther would probably get beasted on in that situation.
Yeah, well, see, I feel like she might be able to outmaneuver him, and I think she can tank hits from him because his best that we've seen is being relative to Forearms, who I would argue that original series, or I would argue that Luma is stronger than original series Forearms, and Esther was able to tank a hit from Luma, so that was my only logic in putting him below Esther. But I mean, I wouldn't mind putting him above Esther just because he actually has output and she doesn't.
Right.
She does have better versatility though, and I would argue better durability.
You could maybe put her above him. I guess eating hits from somebody stronger than he ever did is nice. My thought process is basically just that he's like a real fighter and she's not, so in an actual setting like that he might find a way to beat her, but she does have overall probably better stats than him.
And she does have the skill feats when she fought Rook, so I would argue that they might even be relative in terms of combat, but she actually has like arguably better actual like raw skill feats.
Looks good then.
Alright, so we got a whipping boy next. Synapdak from the Galactic... What are they? The
Galactic Patrol or something?
Enforcers. And Galactic Enforcers. There it is. I promise I have seen Ben 10, guys. I promise.
Ultimo was kind of the only one that didn't suck.
But yeah, Synapdak, he takes like nothing but L's. I'm pretty sure he loses to 6-6 twice in their first episode.
Yeah, he sucks. I like don't remember him ever catching a win.
I think the best he does is like throwing around trucks with telekinesis. He has like an energy beam that he can project that I guess would probably attack psychically, and he has force fields too. But dude has no durability. Like he got no diffed by 6-6 twice, and then I think the last time we saw that, or the last time we saw him after that, was getting whooped on by Vilgax, like off screen by Vilgax.
Right, we showed up and he was in the middle of fighting Ultimo and the Forearms girl whose name I don't remember.
Yeah, that's Tiny.
Tiny, there you go, Tiny. Yes, and Vilgax.
He does have Tiny. Tiny is his girl, apparently, but he got off screen by Vilgax and no diffed by 6-6 twice.
He sucks. Below Grandpa Max, for real.
I mean, yeah, maybe, because he definitely has like better power. Well, his powers are really useful, yeah, but if you want to argue it from a Goonie power scaling perspective, Max was able to take out 7-7 pretty easily, who is directly better than 6-6, and 6-6 was able to clown on Synapdak pretty easily. So even though you could argue that Synapdak could just like telekinetically throw Grandpa Max, like, I don't know. Grandpa Max is also tanked being thrown by telekinesis that has better feats than Synapdak, which is from Hex.
Yeah, and like there's definitely
not looking good.
Definitely a skill gap there too, I want to say.
And it was just like a basic energy whip and then like a blaster that he got beaten by. Logic be damned, I'm putting him in D tier.
Oh man, are we gonna keep Grandpa Max as the gatekeeper of C tier?
He might just be. Might just be
common.
I don't know. Maybe we can put Synapdak in D tier because he's not, or C tier. He's not, because he's not useless or anything. Not to say that Cooper and Azimuth are useless per se, but Synapdak, at least has like telekinesis and energy blast and all that.
Common Synapdak L TBH.
Yeah, not gonna lie. But
finally,
next we got King George. Yeah, dude, he's weird. He's a weird character.
A tier time.
Yeah, I definitely think King George is A tier. He is able to react. Well, we'll start with the more mild stuff first, but he's able to react to Fast Track, who doesn't really have a lot of speed feats actually, but he obviously does have super speed, and he was able to escape explosions as they were happening, so he's at least hypersonic. We know he's way slower than Accelerate, though.
Yeah, but he's also a planet buster.
Yeah. I was gonna try and keep that keep that out of here for as long as possible. But yeah, a lot of people don't realize how the Ascalon works. Like, so Azimuth created the Ascalon, which is what the sword that King George wields, and he gave it to the strongest fighter on the Incursion home planet.
Which is unnamed. I'm on the wiki.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's unnamed. But he wasn't able to control the power of the Ascalon, and therefore the Incursion homeworld got destroyed. So this is like planet-busting levels of power. And people like to say that King George doesn't wield that power normally, but the way I perceived it was that the Ascalon always has that level of attack potency. It's just like focus. Like it's like a Dragon Ball Z style situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, the way that I interpreted that was it's a sword. It like has a button and it releases energy. Like I mean,
yeah, to simplify,
a sword is as sharp as a sword is going to be. So a sword that shoots energy, I feel like, why would like you could hand a toddler that sword and it could still blow up the planet.
Yeah. Also, like he harms the Dagon. So like I don't know how you can how you can even argue that he's not at least a planet buster, considering the sword directly harms a character that's way above planet level.
Yeah. So he's a little slow, but he's definitely got planet level potency, and his durability doesn't suck, and he's got good skill.
Yeah, I mean, and he one-shot regular Humongosaur. Obviously, Ultimate Humongosaur, we talk about it all the time, was able to no-sell the Ascalon. But that's more a feat for Ultimate Humongosaur than anything. And then he's also able to cut dimensional rifts and use them to teleport, which I know how much Mike loves dimensional.
Oh boy.
And then he was able to also... I don't even know how he did this, but do you remember when he showed up to Area 51 and just like teleported the entire thing?
Yeah, that was nonsense. I don't know what.
Yeah,
that was.
What was that about? Like, I don't even know what that was. Like, he didn't even have the sword with him, I don't think. But that's.
He was like still in janitor mode, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was on janitor time. He was probably still clocked in. But that's 575 square miles that he was just able to teleport off the face of the earth.
You know, I don't even know why I just called him a janitor. I think he was in an old folks home.
He wasn't.
But he looked like a janitor. Okay, I don't know.
He was the enemy of the janitor.
Yeah, he would drool on the floor. The janitor had to take care of it. I'm feeling like top of A tier for George.
Yeah, I think that I think he goes above Zed for sure, because I think the best scaling we had for Zed was putting him above Humongosaur, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I would even argue that you could put him above Ben 23.
The only reason I wouldn't want to do that is just because Waybig. Because I think Waybig still beats King George.
True.
So I think that's probably a good place for King George right there in A tier. He's a planet buster. He doesn't really have too many durability feats. I know that he was able to shrug off when Dagon Vilgax attacked him. He was able to kind of tank those. And to make up for his lack of derp feats, he is able to make force fields with the sword.
Yeah, George is cool. He's a cool character. It's a shame he dies.
So
but...
Just planet level with decent speed feats, like not the best for A tier, but still was able to casually react to a hypersonic speedster. So yeah, I think that one's pretty clear.
Yeah, that one's pretty obvious to me. I do think it's funny just to mention that our like cutoff for these Ben clones is, do they have Waybig, yes or no?
yeah. Waybig do be one of the strongest aliens in the Omnitrix. So next we got J.K. Simmons himself.
The Magister
Prior Galil, who is somehow not Incursion. I don't know how, but he literally makes like frog puns during the episode. And he looks like an Incursion, but he's somehow not an Incursion.
I wish that he was an Incursion, so that way we could have him and Bullfrag as like the only, and I guess Atea as like the only non-disgusting Incursions.
Yeah. The only thing that I can remember him doing is clowning on Kevin, and then getting completely murked by Agrigor.
Oh yeah. And he is a Magister. He is like a very experienced, like grizzled, hardened plumber. He definitely belongs in the C tier, because that's where we have our other plumbers, right?
Yeah, I think so. And he's one of the plumbers that kind of gets portrayed more as like actually pretty good in combat.
Yeah, he doesn't suck.
He does get one shot by Agrigor with energy, and that actually that's like one of the first on-screen deaths in like Ben 10, really.
Except for the other Magister Fishman, who all his water leaked out of his suit and he died.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. He's on this list too somewhere. Yeah, he's there next to Kevin. But yeah, Galil. I mean, he did beat Kevin, but Kevin was kind of a whipping boy for a lot of Alien Force. I can't even remember if Kevin actually like absorbed anything to fight Galil.
I don't think so. I think he maybe took Kevin's. Oh my god, he took Kevin's dad's plumber badge from him, and Kevin got all upset.
So I don't think he's above Rook by any means, because I think Rook he's got a lot better skill feats, a lot better strength feats, pretty much better in every regard as far as we've seen on screen.
Definitely loses to Arjit. So
Arjit has already shown that he can pierce through plumber suits, so that's not really going to protect Galil here. And Ben did pretty much no-diff Galil with Goop.
Goop is fun. We could probably put him, I don't know, above Spanner. Do you think he loses to Alan? Or do you think he has any better feats than Alan?
I don't know if this is some kind of Mandela effect, but I feel like he had an interaction with Alan at one point, but I could be wrong.
I think it was Darkstar that he might have interacted with.
Yeah, well, he just like arrested Darkstar, and then he got like no-diffed by Darkstar as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it for what he has. So I guess we'll put him. I think he loses to Alan, just because we don't really have that much to show for Galil.
Man, he's
and he's kind of a professional L taker.
Yeah, he's only in 2 episodes. One with Darkstar and one with Agregor.
So we got a big spicy one going next. We got Gwen.
Oh yes. Gwen is awesome.
And Gwen, I feel like, scales directly above King George, just by the implication of the Dagon arc.
Yes. Could she beat Ben 23? Again, we obviously have the way big thing.
That's true. She did get beat by Ben's way big, but then again, a lot of the feats that Gwen has, you have to kind of like take with a grain of salt almost, because she varies so much in power because she's not always using her full power. And she wasn't using her full power against Ben when they fought, and she lost against Waybig, and she was still able to block his beam for a decent amount of time.
I still don't think even Anodite Gwen could be Waybig.
Yeah, I probably don't think so either. But
maybe a 13-year-old Waybig.
Yeah, it's like, because it's more so how, because I mean we saw with Mad Ben that it's how you use the alien, and not to mention that Gwen was able to revert Ben from Ultimate Humongosaur to his base during the Ultimate Sacrifice episode. So I mean, you could argue she might be able to do that here. She was able to tank Ultimate Echo Sonics as well. Ultimate Echo did use more of his discs against Ultimate Kevin, to be fair, but Gwen was still able to like overpower and shatter them completely. And she did kind of seem to think that she could take all of the Ultimates on her own. Not necessarily saying she could, but she did push all of them back.
Yeah, Anodite Gwen is very strong. Definitely, I would argue. I even think that we like agreed on this at one point that she's cosmic in that form. She fights George, or at least can scale to him. And she has that statement from the Dagon, where she's more powerful than George, which I don't like that.
Yeah, he straight up said she was the most powerful being
I don't like
on the planet.
that Dagon statement either. One, because George's sword, I don't feel like is... Like, if you're the Dagon, or like some animal that can sense things, you're sensing people and like their current state. I don't think you're sensing their tech and whatnot. So like, could you really argue that he understands the sword versus Gwen's physiology? And I think Ben was like Swampfire.
I mean, he was beaten by the sword before, so you could maybe make the argument that he knows how powerful.
That's true.
It is.
He did fight George before.
But in terms of feats, even I would still say that Gwen might even be better than George. The fact that she was able to take out Ultimate Humongosaur when George really kind of stalemated with him at best.
Yeah, I could see you putting Gwen at the very top of A, because I do think she has an argument of being able to defeat a younger Waybig. I'm looking at some of these other characters we have left to do, and some of these guys are really the bottom of the barrel for character.
I know, right? And we're just talking about like straight up power too. We still haven't even put into account like all of Gwen's different spells. Like She can literally time travel, has like elemental manipulation, telekinesis. We don't even know how powerful her bears would be in her Anodite form.
Hopefully better than they are in base.
So I imagine they'd probably be exactly, and even in base, like they have some pretty decent feats. Like she literally blocks the Dagon's like planet-wide transmutation of like the entire human race.
Yeah, true.
I mean, she does have like a hard cutoff for the Alpha Rune, where she was, even in Anodite form, she was taken out by Alpha Rune Charmcaster. But I think maybe just putting her at the top of A might probably be appropriate.
Yeah, that looks good.
And like you said, I think we're going to speed through the next ones here, because a lot of them are not very good. Starting with Helen. She really does not have it. We just gassed up Gwen this whole time, but she did technically take out Gwen at the beginning of Alien Force, but that's once again like one of those things you kind of have to take with a grain of salt, because if Gwen was at full power, she would have just blasted Helen into oblivion.
And Helen is definitely slower than other Concellarans, I feel like. She's not like a full-blooded one, so to call her equivalent to them would be probably a stretch.
I think the best feat that she really gets is when she dodges Echo's sound after it was fired.
Yeah, and she ran from Vilgax's I-beams for a while.
Yeah, she eventually got tagged, but that's still a pretty decent feat, I feel like. She was able to surround Humongosaur as well, but that was before Humongosaur got his better speed feats. Same with Big Chill. Like, she did blitz Big Chill, but that's pre-Omniverse, when Big Chill starts to get better speed feats.
Big Chill is so cool. I really am happy that Big Chill's like a high-tier alien. Not to gas him up, he's a way better character than Helen.
I guess you could argue she has her plumber suit and her blasters as standard, but honestly, like, she's faster than sound, yeah. Is she C tier? I don't think she's C tier necessarily. Oh, putting her over Rook feels wrong.
I think Rook beats her. I think she's too fast for RJ, maybe?
She's faster than Eyesight, for sure. And you could argue that Rook was unable to tag the megawatts, but you could also make the argument that the megawatts are faster than even Helen, just because they can actually move as electricity. And Rook has reacted to like missiles and stuff, which would logically be faster than sound. Or not reacted, but he's dodged them.
Also, doesn't Esther play street hockey with the actual Concellaran kids?
That's true. That's true. So does Kick and Hawk, who Rook has scaling directly above with the Kundo feat.
Yep. And what's his name? Tetrax? Or not Tetrax, excuse me. The guy who we have at the bottom of B who fought Kevin in that like one episode.
Oh yeah, Technorg.
Technorg has fought the Kevin Amalgam guy, so who also has Accelerate in him as well. So all three of the people that we have directly above Helen have fought people like her, or at least
true.
Have speed similar to people like her.
So yeah, she might be too fast for Argit, so we can probably maybe keep her above Argit, but I feel like where she is probably good.
Yeah, that looks fine. Oh no.
I'm just gonna go ahead and Kai, the only feat she has is like the future version of Kai when she has Excalibur.
Oh yeah. Yes, and her really uncomfortable love of Blitzwolfer.
She's a furry. Just go ahead and say it. She's a furry.
She's a Pokemon fan.
Yeah, she's a Pokemon. The average Pokemon fan. She knows judo, and she has Indiana Jones abilities, but that's pretty much all she has.
It is funny that she like circled back to being Ben's girlfriend, because she was like his first love interest from the original series. You don't see her for like 10 years, and then she comes back around, and that's the one he has a kid with.
Yeah, because like we said, Chronospanner was there, like literally chronally like shoving her towards Ben.
He was cock-blocking Esther the whole time.
Disappointment. She might beat Azimuth just because he's literally a gray matter. But
Can Azimuth
I feel like
death?
Cooper's gonna mog on her hard.
Could Cooper hit a woman? Does he have Sanji syndrome?
Nah. That's just with Gwen.
True. I wish it was just with Nami for Sanji. Oh,
We won't
finally.
talk about that anyway. Yeah, finally we're at peak again.
The Chad Kevin.
The Chad Kevin. So this one's a little weird. I know when we talked about Rook, we talked about the mana golems, that Charmcaster's golems. And Rook was able to throw them around. It didn't seem like he really like knocked them out. It just seemed like he kind of like scattered them. And those same golems were able to take out this version of Kevin like pretty easily. But they also have kind of like Tekadon. They have like Tekadon battle deck syndrome where like sometimes they're stronger than they are, or sometimes they're stronger, sometimes they're weaker. Like I feel like they vary in power a lot. I feel like that this version of Kevin would probably scale above Rook for like a lot of reasons.
I think Amalgam Kevin is definitely B tier. It's just where in B tier would he fall? Like I feel like it would be really wrong to put him below Esther.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think he's above Esther. He did fight Albedo's Diamond Head a little bit, but he obviously got beaten. So that's a pretty decent feat. Searching the word Kevin on my respect threads is not a good idea because literally everybody scales to Kevin in some form.
Kevin is both the Chad and the Whipping Boy. He's a lot like, to bring up One Piece again, he's like Smoker in that regard.
Man, we might have to make a Ben 10 One Piece analogy character tier list.
Smoker equals Kevin. I don't know if that one quite holds up.
So yeah, in this form, he was actually able to knock out Sunder for like temporarily. He has a weird feat where he actually knocked out Chromostone from behind, but also Chromostone has like a pretty like kind of a lack of blunt force durability, and it was Chromostone when he was outside of the Omnitrix too.
It's just a wild animal at that point. He's the one that ate all those miniature nukes and got bounced around.
Yeah, I think they were uranium landmines, and he literally got like launched across the horizon by like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah, he was bouncing around.
He seemed to be pretty fine. And he does have another weird feat where he was able to break through the chest of the Nulgian Destructor, which had Humongosaur, Spider Monkey, and Swampfire DNA. So that's a pretty decent one. He also ripped off the head of a Tekadon battle mech. So he's got some pretty decent output and, like you said, that durability too.
Who do we have in B tier that could actually defeat this Kevin in a fist fight?
Fist fight? Like maybe Julie? Just because she has that scaling to Luma. But this Kevin also tanked being thrown through Tatanite as well.
Yeah.
So honestly, he might even be the king of B tier here. Like he's got some weirdly good feats in his Amalgam form. And all of the feats that Kevin has, obviously in base, would scale below this one. Like when he was fighting a Galvanic Mechamorph, I think he had like a ship form that would logically be faster than sound, and Kevin was still dodging attacks from it.
Yeah, I would be very comfortable with putting him as king of B, because putting him below Julie or like Tetrax or all that just would seem strange.
Yeah, honestly, that seems right. Honestly, just because like, it's weird because Kevin was the Whipping Boy for so long, but in this form specifically, he was just going off. Like feat wise, he was just going crazy.
Yeah, Kevin's great. Now we have weaker Kevin.
Yeah, now we have Whipping Boy Kevin, and he might stay in C. Honestly, it's hard to say. He was pretty good in his debut. He was throwing around like shipping containers, and it really does depend on what he's absorbed. Like it's directly shown that if he absorbs something harder or stronger or whatever, he then becomes stronger. Like when he absorbed the substance of the hybrid ships, he was kind of like knocking them around a little bit.
Yeah, he was striking hard enough to stagger some hybrids, which is pretty good. It's like Swampfire level strength.
He was also he also could fight on par with Manny pretty well. I think he ended up losing to Manny, but still fighting like a hybrid Tetraman is still pretty good. I honestly do feel like this Kevin might be below Rook though.
Did he lose to Manny? I feel like I remember Manny asking Kevin if he like wanted to go for a second round or something like that.
It may have been something like that. I know that they were pretty relative.
Yeah, it was close enough that a second round would have made sense.
And I mean, Steel Kevin was able to take down Gutrot for what little that's worth.
I don't know if I would put Kevin. So I definitely don't think he belongs in B, and if he did, it would be at the very bottom. But do you think he goes above Rook?
That's the real question here. They seemed like kind of... Base Kevin and Rook seemed like kind of they were rivaling each other a little bit. We know that, like I mentioned when we were replacing Rook, that Rook's rockets do have higher output than, I say base Kevin, but it's like Kevin when he's absorbing steel or stone. They seem like, even though they're different substances, it always kind of seems like that's like the standard for Kevin.
Yeah, steel and stone Kevin are definitely the most common ones that you would see of him. I know he was wood like once or twice. And he had some coins in his pocket, and he was, which was strange because that was like the one time that he had absorbed multiple things at the same time. It felt like before he was an amalgam.
Yeah, those ball bearings that Gwen got him.
Yeah, which was nice of her, but it didn't really work out.
And Kevin does get beat by galvanic megamorphs in this form, like I mentioned. So he would be below. I mean, I know we weren't going to put him in B, but I feel like he would still be below like Dadsmith and Julie.
Yeah, I feel like you could maybe just put him at like the bottom, or maybe just next to Esther. If you put him in B, probably beats Technord.
If we did like a stat comparison, I feel like Kevin might be more durable than Rook, but Rook probably has better skill, obviously, better output with his tech, though Kevin probably has better strength, maybe. I feel like they might be relative, because the ant feat does kind of go hard for Rook.
Yeah, true, and the proto tool goes sick.
Yeah, I feel like he might just be C tier below Rook. I feel like they're relative, though. Like, it really felt like in Omniverse they were kind of being portrayed as like rivals almost.
You can probably just put him like right below Rook, yeah, and above Alan.
Okay, so we got the next Plumber Magister. We got Labrid next, I think his name was.
I think that's correct.
The Chad sacrificial character, Labrid.
I think earlier I said he died because all the water left his suit, but I actually don't believe that's true. I think his suit got lacerated, and Gwen asked him if he was like leaking water because his blood was blue, and he said that's not water, and then died.
Did like a Three Stooges style, like uh-oh, and then dehydrated into a raisin.
Yeah,
but he's probably pretty skilled since he's a Plumber Magister. I feel like he's gonna be below Galil, just because Galil seemed like more of a combat related character. Like, it seemed like Labrid was more of like a Star Wars style, like I just have a blaster.
Yeah, and as we know, frog scaling goes hard, and one of them is a frogman and the other one is not.
That is true. Ben 10 frogs are a lot stronger than IRL frogs.
Or perhaps the IRL frogs simply aren't trying hard enough.
5% power IRL frog. I feel like he goes below Max too.
Yeah, I don't think he's above Max. I don't think there was ever any implication that he was like a better plumber than Max. Few of them really are.
I would even argue maybe below Cooper, because he really gets nothing. Like, he doesn't get anything to work with, and Cooper is a plumber in his own right. Plus, he has like the like superhuman powers.
Yeah, though he doesn't have the armor, which might make a difference. I'm not really sure how good that armor is.
Cooper does eventually. I think it was in the Dagon arc when they were investigating Area 51. Cooper is shown wearing the armor.
Yeah, he does. I believe he does get it later on when
he looks pretty sick in it too.
A real plumber.
All right. Well, I guess next we got one of Ben's other cousins. And we got Lucy.
This is the one he was like racist to by mistake, or intentionally, depending.
Yeah, or intentionally. Yeah, when a victim of slurs, unfortunately.
You have to bleep me out if I say sludge puppy.
But yeah, she was pretty good. She can shapeshift. Has basically like absolute control of appearance and shape. Can stretch. Can reattach severed body parts. Kind of like a Swamp Fire light in that way. Might even have like better regen than Swamp Fire, you could argue.
Yeah, or maybe like Goop-esque.
But really, she doesn't have any feats. Really, she's weak to electricity and like extreme temperatures. I guess you could argue she's in C tier just because she would have superhuman stats and shapeshifting. But other than that, I don't really know where she would go.
She probably loses to Max.
Yeah, I mean, she's not really a combatant. really. Like, she doesn't have like combat feats whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't think she belongs in D.
Plus, she looks like Naruto in the original series, so that's an auto L.
It's true, she looks like Captain Marvel in that little thumbnail you got there, which is also an L.
So yeah, I guess we can put her below Grandpa Max. You think she goes below Snapdak? Snackdak?
Maybe. At least he
She might. Maybe like he has like telekinesis. At least he fights.
he loses, but at least he fights.
So we just mentioned Manny being pretty relative to Steel Kevin. Where do you think Manny goes? I know he gets pretty hard stomped by Wrath.
Manny is like reasonably comparable to Steel Kevin. I don't think he should go above Rook. We could probably just put him right between Kevin and Helen.
Yeah, I don't think he goes above Rook either. And now that I remember, I think he actually did knock out Kevin during their fight. I think it was Stone Kevin. He threw a car at him and then like knocked him out with a punch, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, like the car probably dazed him and then he walked over and knocked him out because he thought he was like a D&A alien or something.
Yeah, and during the Rooters arc, Rook actually does fight Manny, and he shows that he doesn't really have too much big of a problem fighting him in close quarters. And I would say that Rook probably took a strike from Wrath a lot better than Manny did. So I think just above base Kevin and below Rook would probably be best.
Yeah, that looks good.
We got Myax next, another character that has barely any feats.
Oh, Myax. Her biggest feat is simply being the same race as Vilgax.
She does like football punts Upchuck at one point, but blunt force durability isn't exactly what Upchuck's known for. And she can break apart androids, if I remember correctly, but I mean, who can't do that in Ben 10?
That's true.
I think there was an implication that she was the one that got the DNA sample for Ghost Freak. So you could argue lore-wise that she did have a face-off with Zescare, but considering how strong Zescare is, I think that we can't really assume anything that happened there.
I can't even remember why Ghost Freak was Zescare and not just a ghost. Like, what the heck happened there?
The Ghost Freak, their species exists down to the molecule. It almost seemed like the implication was that there's two Zescares now. Like after Zescare escaped the Omnitrix, because they said that a Ghost Freak species, they live even down to their genetic code, and that's the reason that Ghost Freak was able to escape the Omnitrix, because he was still alive within his genetic code.
He was sentient. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole weird situation. But I would say Myax. I mean, I don't want to put her below Max because it feels weird putting a Vilgax species character below like a normal human.
Though Max is anything but a normal human. Max is the Chad.
True. But Myax, she doesn't really do much. Like, she's mostly a scientist. She did DNA collection for Azimuth, so you could argue that she off-screen fought some of Ben's aliens, but we can't really assume anything there.
It's just like the hunting guy from Omniverse. It's the same thing.
Yeah, the Kyber situation. So really the only feat we have to go off of her is her soccer-kicking Upchuck.
Incredible.
Which really isn't that impressive when you think about it.
A nice C-tier Myax.
Yeah, I guess C-tier. Maybe just by virtue of being a member of Vilgax's species, just put her above Chrono Spanner.
That's probably for the best. My cat has decided to join us.
Are we underrating Festina? I feel like maybe we're not underrating Festina.
Oh, get careful there, cat. Please. Lay off the computer, pal. No, Festina sucks. Leave her where she is.
Yeah, you're fair. That's fair. Okay, so Nalgians.
Another S tier.
Another weird character. I guess they gotta be S tier, just... of course, they're 26D.
Oh, naturally. What was the number? Oh, the dimension they're from.
It was 20. I think it was 26. He was like, there's only 26 dimensions that matter, I think is the exact word that they used.
Yeah, I think maybe Gwen asks, how many dimensions are there? She's like, oh, only 26 that matter, or something. And you can't play with this toy. It's not for children under 10,000 years of age, or something.
Yeah, they said that, she said that there were only 26 dimensions that matter, yeah, and then they have a children's toy that, they say that it could easily surpass the Omnitrix, but I think, in terms of, technology level, it seems like it's more of a complexity thing than it is a power thing.
Yeah, that's fair. Again, it's statements like that, and like the Kick and Hawk being the best hand-to-hand fighter, or Gwen being the most powerful creature on the planet. Sometimes they just be saying things that on the surface you're like, wow, that's crazy. And you think about like Ben and the Omnitrix and the different things he can turn into, and you're like, maybe that isn't true.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm just gonna say Nalgian's S tier. They lack beats completely, pretty much. They transcend like the existence of a regular, like of the regular third dimension. That's all I'm keeping it at. I'm not doing any.
I know.
Tearing.
I'm just messing. But yeah.
I don't have my red nose on right now, so I can't do that.
No buggy cosplays we speak, but yeah, for real, they actually do inhabit a higher plane of existence. That doesn't necessarily mean they're like outside of time and space like the Contumalia, but it definitely, they operate on a different level.
It also doesn't necessarily mean they're above Alien X either. I've seen that argument made before, but you can't just go off of one statement and say that. Like, I think the 26th dimension thing is just like a reference to string theory, I think.
I would argue that's probably true. Like, if just because we as humans operate on the third dimension does not mean that we're not subject to the other dimensions. So, like, time.
Also, you could argue too, like, the null void is a dimension, like ledger domain is a dimension. Like, it's not necessarily like a Scooby-Doo style sandwich of like dimension stacking. It's really, I think they're just saying that there's 26 dimensions within the multiverse that matter to them, I guess. Like, it's a statement that you can't really take a lot out of, and even applying Occam's razor, like, you don't really get that much even doing that. But just the implication of having a children's toy that's more complex than the Omnitrix,
right?
That alone, I feel like, puts them in.
Yeah, and you can make the argument, is what you just said, that if they're on the 26th dimension, it could just be like number 26, not height number 26. Like, they're not 23 dimensions, like, more powerful or whatever the hell that might mean from Ben.
Yeah.
But it could be like a null void situation, as you had said, and as we know, things like the null void were destroyed by the Contumalia and then rebuilt by Alien X. So
yeah. So we got another one. We got Paradox, and I think
I saw you hovering him.
Dude, he did revert Ben back from Alien X
with consent, of course.
To be honest. I mean, Serena and Bellicus, they were saying that they wanted to destroy Paradox, and then he reverted Ben back to base from Alien X. But I don't necessarily think that means he's more powerful than Alien X.
He just dodged around him.
He could have just, or he could have just like reversed time in Ben's local area to revert him back to before he turned to Alien X. And it's before Ben had like full control of Alien X2, and before Alien X's powers were really fully fleshed out like an omniverse.
Yeah, we talk about Paradox kind of a lot around here, but one, that's because he's strong. Two, that's because he's fun. We don't really need any other reason than that. But he, a lot of other characters like, like Clockwork and Maltruant, they're really high tier because of their extensive time manipulation shenanigans. And Paradox is right there with them in like levels of power and how proficient he is with his time shenanigans.
Yeah, he's pretty ridiculous. Like, he was able to hide the Forge of Creation with the chronal randomization barrier or whatever it is, which exists outside of the multiverse. You could even argue that Paradox possibly did have like conflict with the Celestial Sapiens at one point, because he has a treaty with them that he mentions in the Forge of the Creation.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. It's interesting. The implications of that are strange, that he's had at least enough dealings with the Celestial Sapiens that they just don't want him in their house.
Plus, there's also the fact that he was still alive after the Chronosapien time bomb went off and destroyed the entire Omniverse besides that one universe that Ben didn't have the Omnitrix. So he basically kind of exists outside of the regular flow of time. And he has the Chrono Navigator too, which when Eon had the Chrono Navigator, he was about to just outright destroy the entire Omniverse.
Good old Eon.
Yeah, so Eon is literally just like a multiversal character. Like you can't, or not Eon.
Paradox.
Paradox is literally has like multiversal level power. I wouldn't say that he goes above the Contumelia because the Contumelia, like they exist above and outside of space time, which is what Paradox uses in his powers.
Yeah.
So like as powerful as Paradox is, the Contumelia literally just exists above what he uses to get that
And
power.
it's pretty evident that he like has no power over the Contumelia because Maltruant literally just devolves into throwing punches when he's around them.
Yeah, exactly. And also, the Contumelia did seem, like you said, above Maltruant, and Paradox couldn't just outright stop Maltruant by himself. He had to wait for Ben to kind of restart the time loop by hitting him with the Annihilarg. But yeah, I think that's pretty definitive. He's above the Nalgians just due to lack of feats, but I think keeping him right where he is in S is probably best.
Oh god, look at this guy.
We got Pax.
He's like the vegan animal rights guy, right?
Yeah, he is he's like the hippie Wildvine. So he does have all of Wildvine's abilities. He's got like Swampfire style regeneration, which I guess is pretty good.
I don't like his fashion sense though. He looks like a homeless person.
I think he is a homeless person.
I think that's right.
So yeah, I mean, the only thing he really has is his regeneration. I don't think he even gets any combat feats. So I think maybe just putting him at the same tier as Lucy, because they kind of just have the same thing going on, but Lucy has more like fluidity and shapeshifting.
Yeah, and he might have a couple of like silly cartoonish derp feats where he puts himself in a bad situation and then doesn't die. But other than that, he doesn't really do anything, and he's certainly not a combatant. So where we have him is probably fine. At least Lucy like wants to be a plumber or something, right? So she'll end up with some skill.
All right, so we got Pierce next. Pierce is a little weird because he barely has any feats. I know he fights Ben. Like they have that weird like one-on-one in the Null Void during the Devoid conflict.
Doesn't Ben beat him? Or he loses.
No, actually,
and then
so what happens is Ben lets him win, and then it's directly stated by Max that if Ben went all out, even in base form, he would have just destroyed Pierce. According to Max.
That's right. I remember now because he brings Ben to Max, and Max is like, Pierce beat you, and Ben is like, yeah, I kind of let him win, and Pierce is like, what? Yeah, I really do think Ultimate Alien and Alien Force, like as a whole, have the best portrayal of Ben because it shows him like really being willing to do what needs to be done and being like menacing without like being evil or something. And then in
yeah, he's like weirdly hyper competent in like Ultimate Alien Force. It's still a little inconsistent, but he gets like his time
he's
to
very competent is definitely the right word. Whereas in Omniverse, he's having trouble with the watch again. I don't even think he has master control. Like in Ultimate Alien Force, he almost feels like he has master control because he's so proficient with the watch. Which you could have told right away by the art style, which is part of why I had mentioned earlier that I kind of put off watching it for a while. I just like knew that it was going to be a bit more childish, and it was, but it still had a lot of good highs.
But anyway, back to trashing or getting away from trashing Omniverse, which we do love, but has some issues. But Pierce, back to him, so we know he directly scales below base Ben. So I feel like he's definitely below Max. We do find out in Omniverse that he was made based off of Argit's species, so he does have the quills. I just don't think they have like quite the same effect as Argit's.
I don't think he could knock a way big down, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think he probably belongs in low C tier.
Yeah, that looks fine. Below Max is definitely right. He doesn't do any of the wacky stuff that Argit does, so he really shouldn't get any scaling related to that. And he's definitely less skilled than Max.
I know it's stated that I think there's like a third-party statement by Derek J. Wyatt that he's more powerful than Arjit. But as far as feats go,
I
he
don't
definitely is
think
not.
he could take a punch in the face from Ultimate Kevin, the way Arjit could.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I don't know what it doesn't. That really doesn't even make any sense when you think about it, because he's literally just a hybrid of Arjit's species. So why would he be more
Yeah,
powerful?
it's
Than
silly.
Arjit?
So don't take every Derek J. Wyatt statement as true.
All right. So next we got Daffy Solo himself. Got Rad
Oh my
Dudesman.
god.
One of the weirdest characters in like the whole franchise. He just comes out of nowhere, and I don't even know what. I don't know. His full name apparently is Captain Rad Prophet Danger Treble Dudesman.
Very unhappy
He's like
about that.
the peak. He's like the peak of Omniverse just goofiness.
It's because he keeps saying things like, "Oh wow, there's plenty of trouble over there. Don't worry, Trouble is my middle name. I thought your middle name was Danger."
That's what it is.
It is. Like,
That's what it was.
and he's got like a weird accent.
So really, he doesn't get he doesn't get anything besides just his blaster feats. Like he's a good quick draw, I guess. Like he's got like an armory worth of weapons on his person, but other than that, like I don't think he gets any actual direct combat feats that are impressive at all.
Yeah, I like that he's a Rocket Raccoon reference for sure. Oh, or perhaps he. I was gonna say he definitely doesn't predate Rocket the way Alan predates Miles. But he's cool, and he reminds me of the baby ducks from regular shows, so he gets a seal of approval.
True. So, do you think he makes it into C tier?
I think so, because his guns are definitely standard gear.
Yeah, when he doesn't have his weapons, though, he's pretty much just an anthropomorphic duck.
A space duck.
Yeah, you're right. My bad.
My cat is biting my
So,
feet.
I honestly, this is another character that has no feet, so I have no clue where to even put him. I think he might even just be below.
No, you should put him. Well, I guess he couldn't kill them because his. Yeah.
Okay, maybe above Pax.
Yeah,
Maybe above
that's
Maybe above
probably a little bit more
Pax.
fair. Oh boy.
Okay, so I guess if we agree on that, we got Rex. I don't know why I saved one of the characters that has like the most feats to discuss till the end, but I feel like he's gonna be a solid B tier.
Yeah, I obviously Rex should retain all of his feats from his own series. So he has a crap load of feats to discuss.
Yeah, like we're not just gonna use the feats that he gets from the crossover, which is actually just a Generator X episode. It's not even a Ben 10 episode.
I miss Generator X. It was a good show. I gotta rewatch it.
Yeah, and he's pretty decent too. He's got some good strength. A lot of the Evos he fights are pretty decent. I remember close to the beginning of the series, he beats down like a skyscraper-sized Evo. He was able to punch back Humongosaur in the crossover, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah, he sort of strikes me as like a upper B character. He definitely would. Well, he may have a strange interaction with Julie because of Ship.
Yeah, I feel like that's more of a hard counter kind of thing. Like that's not like indicative of his power.
Just like generally speaking, because as I said, I haven't watched it in a long time. I don't know all the Rex feats off the top of my head or anything like that. But Humongosaur scaling. I know Shock Squatch is like in that movie too, and he all that stuff. But I would probably put him near the top of B, just from that.
I think he might honestly be at the top of B. He has some pretty decent speed feats too, based on his Evos. Like I think there's a point where he flies like pretty close to the top of the clouds, and just that scaling to Humongosaur where he's able to launch him back. I obviously don't know Generator X quite as well as I know Ben 10, but I have watched through the whole series, and just the raw versatility that he gets from all his builds, I think probably just puts him at the top of B. I don't think he makes it to A just because I don't think he's at that cosmic level. I think the best feat that he gets in terms of technopathy is, I think that he connects to all the machines on Earth, or all of the Evos on Earth, and like cures all of them at the end of the series with the Omega Nano.
Yeah, and I know that there's that at least one time where he like loses control and he himself turns into like a skyscraper-sized machine monster with like a sword and stuff.
Yeah, that he turns into that like weird giant mech. So taking that into account, he'd definitely be like
Kevin's not
the top of B tier. But we got our obligatory appearance of an Alien X character again. I managed to put Alien X in every single tier list we've done for Ben 10, so I'm proud of myself for that.
I can't even remember that guy's name. It's like Cosmic Beard or something like that. Starbeard, there it is.
Starbeard, let's go.
The Omnitrix is real. I like that, or more like Alien X is real, because prior to that episode of like Ben 10 versus the universe or whatever, people like Rook didn't even think Alien X like was real or did anything, because when he turned, when he like turned back time because of the Annihilarg, it erased Rook's memories of that event. So everybody thought the Annihilarg was a dud.
Yeah, that was frustrating, but pretty inarguable that Starbeard is Alien X tier. Plus, he has such a cool design. I just love like the
Odin.
space beard. Yeah, like the implications too that that celestial sapiens can have hair is kind of weird. But
It's okay. Alien X turns into the Crimson Chin in Omniverse.
the Chad Crimson Chin. So, Tiny is next. The Galactic Enforcer Tetramand. I think she would logically scale above Manny. As far as where she'd go, I mean, it's obviously stated that female Tetramands are stronger than males by a pretty wide margin.
Which is sort of also a weird statement.
So I think she would automatically go above Dadsmith, because Dadsmith's best feat is fighting 10-year-old forearms.
And you gotta... I said that that's a weird statement because don't they also, like, only reproduce with, like, the males that can best them or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, so
it's like, yeah, girls are stronger, except all of their husbands are stronger than them. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's going on there?
Where did you guys all come from?
So, strange statement, but regardless, it just means that the girls are strong. So you could even if you like throw that statement out, you could just say that she would scale above a child forearms.
And I think that, I don't know, that might be a good place for her. Tetrax is pretty strong. He's got that feat against the way big. He does beat that Tetraman pretty easily. Obviously, that's not the same as beating Tiny since she is a female. And then Julie does have the scaling to Luma, but I wouldn't say that Julie is like outright stronger than Luma or anything, but I also don't think Tiny, just because she's a female, directly scales to Luma either.
No, I would probably even wager that Luma is probably stronger than Tiny because she's like royalty, and I don't know, a lot of warrior caste societies like that, they're like royalty tend to be the strongest.
Also, her feats against Volcanus, like she did beat Volcanus by herself, so that's kind of a pretty big indictment on her strength. But I think just the logic of her being a female Tetraman probably just keeps her at least where she is right now. So next we got Ultimos, and I have a weird thing with Ultimos, so let me just lay down my speculation here. This probably won't even come into the tier list, but when he fights Vilgax on his home planet, Vilgax obviously takes his powers. And before then, we never see Vilgax fly. So my line of thinking is that Vilgax got his flight from Ultimos. Not necessarily like would even be indicative of where we'd put him on the tier list, but Vilgax's flight was kind of on par with Jet Ray. So I don't know, if we put on our theory caps for a little bit, we could argue that Ultimos has flight on par with Jet Ray. Though that being said, I'm not gonna take that into account.
Making an argument for FTL Ultimos.
But he's above Tiny too. Like that's pretty much completely confirmed by the fact that they live on the same planet, and Ultimos was considered the strongest warrior there to fight Vilgax.
Right, even though the rest of them jumped in and like cheated.
Yeah, right.
some guardians you are can't even follow simple rules of engagement. But you could probably put him above Tetrax.
Yeah, I think he'd go above Tetrax. He got obviously completely destroyed by Vilgax, but he was still able to tank that Ruby Ray of Rouleau or whatever it's called.
Vilgax like compliments him for it.
Yeah, like Vilgax at least complimented his strength, but he doesn't really get too many actual feats either, is the problem.
Yeah, he shows up in like a handful of episodes, but that's it.
I don't know, do you think where he is now? Because I don't think any scaling that he has would put him on a level where he could restrain Armadillo like the Nanite Queen does, or tank blasts that harm Chroma Stone. I don't see him. I honestly don't even see him scaling anywhere near Luma either.
No, I think right there is fine. Taking the Armadillo stuff as is definitely puts like Armadillo is way stronger than him, I would say, or at least noticeably stronger.
All right, so we're on the final 3 now, and pretty much, I mean, we got Grandpa Max's 2 lovers, I guess, right here. Verdona, I think, is just a pretty easy top of A tier.
Yeah, she's just Gwen, but better.
She's pretty much directly implied to be just Gwen, but better.
Yeah.
Like, if we take all of Gwen's feats that she performs as a full Anodite and apply them to Verdona, that I feel like the logic is there, because Verdona is just a full Anodite.
Yeah, and like, even if you could make some argument that Gwen could be more powerful than her, not until she's Verdona's age.
Yeah, exactly. And Verdona's like, I think she said you have to go to like 100 years or so to get as strong as Verdona was.
Yeah.
It was like some crazy amount, but yeah, I think it's pretty much inarguable that Verdona is stronger than Gwen. So we'll just put her in the top 8 here. And next we got Xylene. So she's kind of she's basically like Snapdac, but like Chad. Like, she has like all those telekinetic abilities, but she actually uses them in a cool way. I think she takes apart like an entire playground or something and launches it at Ben.
She's in the original series, right?
Yeah, she's in the original series. I think she was a very weird awakening for a lot of alien fetishists.
Good old cartoons really did that to a lot of people.
But she does have pretty decent hand-to-hand skill. She could tear up androids pretty hard. And her telekinesis is like pretty decent. I don't know if she necessarily even escapes into B tier though.
Oh, that's right. She's the one who brought the Omnitrix to Earth, right? And was being chased by Vilgax.
Yeah, like she's the one that sent it to Max. You could argue that she has pretty decent speed, because in her episode she was blitzing Heat Blast at like speeds you couldn't even see when she was flying. And Heat Blast was outspeeding the Megawatts, who are themselves faster than eyesight and arguably like electricity speed. So Xylene's got some pretty funky speed scaling, along with her telekinesis.
Where do you think she belongs?
I mean, basically what I described is all we get to see from her. So I'd argue that maybe she's got like, she's kind of like, compared to somebody on the tier list, she's got like speed comparable to Helen, I guess. Maybe even faster, and then she's got the telekinesis on top of that. I feel like she might even beat Rook, just because she's fast enough to where he can't react to her, and she's got that wacky telekinesis where she could just ragdoll.
You could put her like just at the very bottom of B, because I kind of like having Rook at the top of C.
I guess that's
feel
fair.
Like he really is a good cutoff for that.
Because she's got that wacky speed scaling, and just having telekinesis that's actually like viable, unlike Synapdax. I feel like that's probably a good place for her. Alright, so next we got a character. I feel like how we're ending off the Ben 10 tier list with a character that's not even from Ben 10.
But at least he was in it.
Yeah. He lives in the same universe, at least.
Strangely enough.
So, Zack Saturday, he's mostly just like... I mean, I watched Secret Saturdays as a kid. From what I remember, he's really just like he's like a higher than average human. Like, for a Ben 10 character, he'd be superhuman, obviously, for like real life. But in terms of like the universe of Ben 10, he's really just like a peak human, I guess you could argue.
Yeah, and he, I think his main power is that he can talk to cryptids or whatever, and his brother there is like a
he
Wookiee.
can control and influence cryptids and all that.
You could probably put him next to Pierce.
And then he has that weird like launchable claw that he can use in combat.
You could probably put him right next to Pierce. The couple of skunk boys who are just like peak human, but probably lose to Grandpa Max.
Yeah, I would argue that he'd probably still lose to Grandpa if they did like a 1v1, because he has a lot of like Saturdays really don't have like a lot of out of the world feats like characters do in Ben 10.
Yeah, I think Ben 10 is surprisingly like cosmic of a verse. Like as a kid, I don't even think I really understood how strong some of these characters were. But the Secret Saturdays does not reach those peaks.
Yeah, like I feel like the Saturdays is more of like a lore heavy, like exploratory show.
Yeah, and it got canceled.
Rather than like a straight up action series.
I wish it didn't get canceled. That one and like Symbionic Titan were pretty good.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's how we got the side characters of Ben 10 lined up. We didn't do every single side character, obviously, but even the ones that we chose, like Pax and Kai, like they don't really even have feats. So I tried to make it as extensive as possible.
From Azimuth to Starbeard.
Once again, from Azimuth, literally like frog person to god. But yeah, you snake it around. That's how we would rank all these characters from weakest to strongest. I mean, other than that, do you have any corrections you want to make to the tier list before we get out of here?
No, it looks pretty comprehensive to me. It's I think it's funny that we only had like the one Ben clone on this one.
Yeah, I was gonna put like more of them in there, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to just keep on just being like, does he have way big? Okay, well then he's not A tier. Basically, would be like the extent of those arguments. I feel like most of the Ben clones are going to be an A tier, unless they have like actual provable use with an S tier. Because there's only 3 aliens on the Omnitrix that would be S tier plus.
Yeah, so this looks good. I like it. I think that it's pretty indicative of the fact that a lot of the side characters really are just that. They're like side characters both narratively and physically. Somebody like Rook is never going to defeat the main villain unless it was specifically designed for them to be able to do that.
Yeah, but drop us a sub if you like these rambly tier lists for whatever reason. Give us a shout back on TikTok. We took kind of the whole month of December off, but we're back to daily posting on TikTok, so hit us up there if you want to see daily content. We'll probably start streaming more on YouTube. Probably should have said that at the beginning of the video, but give us a like, drop a comment on what you would correct on the tier list and what characters you think we should have added. But until then, I guess me and Battledome Mike are going to get out of here.
Yeah, and if you guys ever want to see Battledome Darren again, you'll subscribe so we can let him out of jail.
Yeah, so we can let him out of being a YouTube prisoner of war.
All right, thanks for watching.
All right, boys. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later. Bye.